Welcome everybody to the Great White North 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. My name is Josh Coppernell. I'm joined in the booth with Eric Wineland, and new in the booth, but not new to the truck series, Cody Bird. You may remember Cody as the guy that almost won Michigan in a few weeks ago. But how are you doing, Cody?
Doing great tonight here, Josh. Looking forward to calling a great race up in the north, and hopefully it's a great race.
Yeah, definitely. And how are you doing today, Eric?
Happy to be here, Josh. Back for another round of the Galaxy Truck Series here at Mosport. Not sure what happened to our driver analyst here, if he just couldn't cross the border or what, but glad to have Cody Bird join us here as the give us an insight as to what these guys think about and process as they go along tonight.
Yeah, we also, as Eric mentioned there, we do have another guy joining us in the booth. In a way, he's going to be in the truck tonight as well. But we've got Cam Stone, the driver of the number 57 truck. So last week he was one of our in-race reporters, but at Daytona, which was a very, wild race, but we didn't see many cautions at all. We just weren't able to talk to Cam at all in the race, so we brought him in again today, and we decided to have him kind of as a broadcaster, but from the truck. So he's not actually going to be like calling moves, but just giving us a little bit more insight than what we normally would get. So how are you doing, Mr. Stone?
Well, trying to get around here and get some practice. Trying to figure old turn 3 out. Hope you. Rest of the track's looking pretty good for me today. Just turn 3 is giving me a little bit of trouble trying to nail that one down. Try to get a good finish here tonight.
We're looking forward to seeing what you can do with the truck. Well, we are just 18 seconds away from start of qualifying. Looks like we've got 12 trucks in the field tonight. Eric, let's do our picks to win. Eric, who is your pick to win tonight?
So I'm going to sound like a broken record here because I know I picked him last week, but Cam Stone, again, my pick to win tonight, our little in-race reporter we got tonight. Solely for the reason, not because he was riding that hot streak just a couple weeks ago where he was going for 3 in a row just last week, but more so for the fact that he won the last road course outing for the Galaxy Truck Series here at Watkins Glen just about 3 weeks ago. So he won that race by 18 seconds. So I fully expect Cam Stone to be a strong contender at the front tonight and be in the race to win.
And how about your pick, Mr. Cody Bird?
I think I'm going to have to go with who's been dominating the Cup Series here recently, and Bryson Hixenball. Seems like whenever he unloads on track, it doesn't matter what configuration the track is. It could be an oval, it could be a triangle, it could be a road course. It seems like he's always coming off the track fast. So that's my pick tonight to win.
I am going to go with Rich Petrucco. He has 2 wins in the truck series already. He was fastest in our practice, and he knows how to get around all kinds of different tracks, like Bryson you were talking about there, Cody. But I'm going to go with Rich Petrucco. I think he's got a good chance to finally get one of my picks to win a win tonight.
So Rich was your fastest truck in practice, followed by Cody's pick and Bryson Hixenball. Cam not really backing me up too much in practice, but he was the 3rd fastest, just a couple seconds off the front 2 though. So I definitely would not be surprised if your 2 picks to win there, Josh and Cody, are the guys running up front tonight between Petrucco and Hixenball. So we're taking a look here. Joseph Lester looks like he's getting ready to start his lap as he rounds off the final corner here and takes the green flag, and he barely hangs onto his truck. That might not spell too good for keeping the tires under him for an entire lap around this circuit tonight.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because that will wear your tires out very quickly. And Canadian Tire, it's a challenging track as it is. There's 10 turns tonight at this track. So long race, 64 laps, stage break at 32. So these guys, they've got to go long on their tires. So getting loose like that, it's going to hurt you so bad late in a run.
So doubling down on that, one stage break tonight, as Josh mentioned, at lap 32. It's actually double stage points since they're not running 2 stages in this race. So this is something similar they did to Watkins Glen just a couple weeks ago. So Cody, I'll ask you here, since you are the Truck Series driver, give me an insight. How do you approach the race a little differently with there only being one stage as compared to having 2 stages like normal in a race?
I think you'd approach it a little differently. Obviously, with the halfway point being right at lap 32, it should make for a very interesting strategy here. You'll probably see 3 or 4 different types of strategies coming from these drivers today. Me personally, the way I would approach it is I don't know if I would want to risk going 32 laps on a tank of fuel, especially with it being such a long course. Getting back around after 32, you may be cutting it close and may have to tow. So I think you do approach it a little different, but I don't think it's going to have as much of an impact as thought. It's definitely going to be interesting to see the different strategies play out, though.
Well, as Cody hit there, your fuel window, kind of estimated window tonight that we've been able to guess here in the booth, is about 28 to 32 laps. And like Cody just said, that with that stage break on 32, that is the upper limit of what we think these guys can make it. It's going to take a little saving to make that move. So it'll be interesting to see here, Josh, as we go along, which drivers go to the front because they're planning on a pit stop and who might be keeping themselves back a little bit, saving some of the tank to be able to make it to that stage break.
Yeah, I personally, if I was in this situation, I might try to cut it in half. So you got 32 laps, so I'd go to maybe 16 and pit then. You're not going to make it on fuel. It will be close. I mean, unless you're doing some heavy saving. But in that case, I would cut it in half, go right to 16, get back out there and try to really catch some of the trucks that are going to stay on the track longer and see if you can get ahead of them for the end of the stage.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there, and I think something else to pay attention to is with the caution expected at lap 32, I fully expect to see people try to push it in that second stage to get to the very end, but we will have to see how the caution plays out. Obviously, with it being a road course, we are only expecting the one stage break caution, so we'll see what happens.
So let's go ahead here and take a ride on board with Alex Princeton, the driver we're watching wheel his truck around this track. So we're already a little bit into the lap, but we'll give you a lap of Mosport here and see how the driver approaches this track. So now Alex is a newer driver in the Truck Series, but so far he's been showing that he has the talent of what it takes. So down here, the fast downhill left section, and then you got to whoa it up at the bottom of the hill to be able to come back up the hill for the double right, which is honestly the toughest part of the track. As you see Alex go off the track right there. This section of the track is very technical. You gotta get the truck way woed up, even down into first gear, digging out on corner exit, and then it's the long back straightaway when you get back out on out of that sharp right hand 90-degree double right. So down the backstretch, just getting through the gears. Make sure you hit your gears perfectly, right up to that rev limiter wherever you want to be. If you're saving fuel, maybe you're upshifting just that little bit earlier, and then into the sweeping S's. This is one of the more exciting parts of the tracks. We've seen it in real life with these guys in the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series, that this corner right here, the final. So the sweeping S is more so a flowing section, need a rhythm through there. And then down here through the first turn, as we see Alex finish his qualifying lap there. First turn again, somewhat kind of like the sweeping S's, got to be real flowy, rhythmic through that section. But also kind of sets you up for that second sector where you've got a lot of downhill corners, especially 2 downhill lefts in turn 2, and then down there in turn 4 coming up toward the double right.
As you alluded to right there, that last section of the track before you get back to the start finish line, I can remember the Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek incident happening there. I also remember Chase Elliott running somebody over for a win right there. It wouldn't be too surprising to see the race come down to that last little section of corners, even on the last lap.
Yeah, it seems like in the real NASCAR, as you guys were mentioning, the NASCAR Truck Series here always has crazy last lap finishes. Cole Custer and John Hunter Nemechek, Chase Elliott, and was that Austin Dillon? I think off the top of my head. I believe something involving Kaz Gralla maybe at one point. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they've done 5 races here in real life, maybe 6, and all of them have come down to those last couple of laps with an exciting finish. So I think we should see something pretty exciting as well here tonight, but only 9 trucks have qualified. I don't believe anybody else is going to qualify. We've got nobody else on track, so Cam Stone might be our pole winner, but I don't want to award it to you too early, Cam. I noticed on your second lap there, you kind of just hit the grass and went straight towards the wall. What happened there for you? Was that just intentional?
Well, I knew Bryson and Petrucco had already run, laps down in the 118s. That pole time for me is in the mid 119s, so I was just trying to get it, a little bit closer to what they ran in practice. Pushed it a little bit too hard. Definitely not something I would try to do in the race. I'm just trying to keep it on the asphalt for the duration of the race. But yeah, just pushing a little too hard to get a couple extra tenths right there.
So Cam, take me through now your mindset. You're getting ready for a race. You're going to be our in-race reporter tonight. Again, thank you for coming on board for that. So now you're sitting here. You're very likely that you're going to be on pole. Does any of your starting position, anything like that, affect how you approach this race?
Well, it definitely changes the way you're going to run stage 1. So you gotta fire off well. You don't want to be the guy that gets run over and wrecks the entire field in the second turn. So you want to get out front, get clear air. The guys that have already shown that they can run faster than me in practice are mired back in the field right now. So you just kind of hoping that maybe they run into a bit of trouble and it makes it a little bit of an easier job for me.
Alrighty, well that's our in-race reporter Cam Stone. We'll be talking to him throughout the night here, up in the JCTV booth. Josh, I just double checked it. No one else is attempting a lap, so let's go ahead and award that pole there to Mr. Cam Stone with a 1 minute 19.667 as his pole time. And go ahead and as these guys get to the grid, let's take you through our starting lineup tonight. So for 64 laps around the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, 2.46 miles in length. These guys up here might use kilometers, but we're from the U.S., so we're going to use miles. Cam Stone, your pole sitter, like we just said, starting outside of him will be Anthony Guarnieri, making his first start in about 3 weeks after losing the point lead just a couple weeks ago. So Anthony Guarnieri back with a 1 minute 19.727, just a tenth off of our pole sitter Cam Stone there. Starting third tonight, Jimmy Costarellos, 119.942. Very strong run from the newcomer. Made his debut last week at Daytona. We saw him running up there until he unfortunately was caught up in an incident. But again, the driver of that number 6 truck showing a lot of speed here tonight. Andrew Shartner in the 10, starting 4th outside of him. 5th in the 3rd row is Brian Branham in the 74. Outside of him, Alonso Chicano, your current point leader by 54 points over Anthony Guarnieri. If you factor in the Cup Series drivers that aren't being scored for points officially in the Championship Series, Chicano only has a 31-point lead at this point in time. Starting 7th tonight, Carl Felver in the 99 truck. 8th, Joseph Lester in the 71. We saw him be the first to roll off in qualifying. Unfortunately, didn't pay off for him in that regard. The last person to take time, Dustin Webb in 9th in that 82 truck. Starting 10th, your first driver to not take time, coming off that one race suspension he got after incident at Gateway, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, the Cup Series front runner, is starting 10th. Starting 11th tonight, Rich Petrucco in the 27 truck. Again, second place technically in points if you factor in those Cup Series drivers, but he's not actually running for the points in this series because he is a Cup Series regular. So expect him to be going balls to the wall for the win tonight here at Motorsport. Starting 12th, making his debut in the Galaxy Truck Series, the 88 of John Bellew. Starting 13th, the 9 truck that we saw there, riding on board a lap with him, Alex Princeton. And rounding out your field tonight, starting a 14th in the 32 truck, Ryan Samuelson. Josh, I'm excited already, and these guys are only making their first few pace laps, or their only pace lap on the track, but I can definitely feel like the intensity is picking up here.
Yeah, the intensity is picking up. These guys are getting ready for their second road course of the season. Not the normal oval that they are used to, or ovals that they're used to, week in and week out. So they've got to make right turns today, and they're thinking, a little bit more in intensity than what we normally would see from that cockpit. Cody, you've been driving the trucks all season long here. How, going off with what I said there, making the transition from ovals to road courses. I think we touched based on it a little bit earlier, but give us another, intake. What is the mindset here going from ovals to road courses?
That definitely is a big difference compared to driving style. I think a lot of it's going to factor in to who you see road racing some more. For example, Cameron Stone, as mentioned previously, he swept the Watkins Glen weekend and had a strong run in the Cup Series at Sonoma. Bryson Hicksonball, obviously, every week, as I mentioned previously, a threat to win. And as your pick, Rich Petrucco, there's no doubt that he has shown that he's fast on road courses as well. So I think the driving styles of these guys are going to show like who has put in the laps at road racing and who has the experience.
Green. Here we go.
So the pace car makes its right-hand turn onto pit road. Off the corner, here comes Cam Stone to take the green flag, and we are green here at Mosport. The 57 truck shoots out into turn 1. He's got a 3 truck length lead already on Anthony Guarnieri. And following in third, Jimmy Costarellos as they head up the hill down into 3.
You got to be single file for those first all the trucks practically, and Cam Stone, he's just kind of setting comfortable right where he's at, but it looks like Guarnieri is starting to set in. Maybe runs a little bit wide there through that corner. That's going to help Cam Stone out a lot, as he's now 5-6 truck lengths ahead. He's going to go way wide going into that first right corner there with those 2 back-to-back right-handers. That's just going to help Stone even more.
Cam Stone distancing himself from the rest of the field currently. In the background, you can see Bryson Hicksonball slowly starting to make his way through the field as we go into the next corner here.
He's starting to get up there, and it looks like we've got a little bit of side-by-side action behind him between the number 27, Rich Petrucco, and we're make that the number 88. Oh, and that's going to be John Bellew just got sideways, and Rich Petrucco, I think, got a little bit into that.
So an incident already there on lap 1 as they were coming into the flowing S section, as we see the 99. Yeah, it looks like the 99 of Felver might have got caught up in that mess a little bit. Happened right in front of him. John Bellew just got wayward a little bit. Rich did catch a piece of him there in the 27 truck too. And then the 99 actually spun out in front of Samuelson. And I think Samuelson is terminally damaged, or he definitely hit the front end really hard right there as we're taking a look on the replay. Yeah, he ended up being stuck, having to take, I think, a tow there. Bang! Oh, he actually turned the 99 truck over. What a massive shunt on lap 1. That is not good for either of those guys' races. And it's not going to be a short or fun, or a long or fun night for either of those guys. Looking more like a short night where they're going to be packing it up and heading back down below the border.
Yeah, and that's the worry here for Rich Petrucco and Bryson Hicksonball. As mentioned previously, they've shown to be the 2 fastest trucks in the field currently as Cameron Stone starts to distance himself. but you always run into the issue with some of these slower guys being back there and have to be on the lookout, especially on a road course.
Yeah, Rich Pachuco, he said he wanted to start in the back and try to work his way up to the front. That's one of the issues with doing that strategy there. I know Rich wasn't expecting it to happen, but there is always that it can happen or the what ifs. And we do see not a lot of damage on the front, maybe just a little crinkle on the nose, but the rear end, specifically the right rear spoiler, is sticking up in the air. I'm not sure, Eric, how much do you think that's going to affect his truck from the rest until he at least can pit and get some of that damage fixed?
Well, unfortunately, one of the things that matters here at Mosport is aero.
He's super loose.
With that long,
he's
there he goes. Rich Pachuco sliding through the gravel. He's able to keep it out of the wall. He's going to lose all of his track position. But as I was saying, that aero damage is probably going to be the actually most harmful thing to him, with it being on the rear like that. We got such a long back straightaway here at Mosport that aero does matter. To keep the speed up in the truck, especially on the straightaway, you need to have good aero in addition to a great handling truck for all these corners here. So unfortunately for Rich, that's not looking too good, in addition to the fact that he just lost all of his track position there. As we take a look here, I think back further up in the field, there is a battle for fifth heating up between Anthony Guarnieri, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, and I believe that is Alonso Chocano sneaking his nose into this battle here. It's actually a battle for fourth, correction.
Yeah, and a key thing to look on the lookout here for is that the 16 and 25 have had incidents previously this season, so it would be interesting to see how they race each other here in the beginning few laps of this race.
Yeah, Guarnieri just kind of pulled to the side and allowed Hicksonbaugh to get on by. He might do the same with Chicano, but like you were talking about there, Cody, he might not also give an inch as well, so there is always that. Definitely want to keep an eye out on these two tonight.
So we see Bryson Hicksonbaugh taking that fourth position there. Anthony Guarnieri just ahead of Alonso Chocano. This is your fourth, fifth, and sixth positions on track, but out front, Cameron Stone still holding just under 1 second lead on Jimmy Costarellos up here at the front as they sweep onto the front stretch. So definitely, I think by now can tell that drivers like Cam Stone, Jimmy Costarellos, Andrew Shartner are definitely going for it and planning a pit stop in this first stage to make sure they can make it on fuel. Whereas maybe someone like Anthony Guarnieri, who has gone from second on the grid back to fifth now, potentially losing sixth to Alonso Chicano here soon, he's maybe that driver that's taking the risk and trying to save some fuel to make it without any stops in this stage.
Yeah, like I said, you know, if I was in this position, I would cut it in half, but there is all these different drivers with different strategies. So I definitely think, you know, like you were talking about, the guys running up front, they're probably going to pit, not necessarily halfway, but pit with a large distance of laps to go until they make their first pit stop of the race. Guys running towards the back, they might be saving and trying to make it that distance. Those double points are on the line tonight, like we've mentioned. And that could be
problems
huge.
in turn 5. We just had problems in turn 5. John Balu actually just Alt F4'd his computer after going off track in turn 5. Someone followed him in there. I think it was the 82 of Dustin Webb followed him in turn 5 here, and just both went flying off the track here. Yeah, there you see John just pulls over to the side, and Hill DC Webb just goes way wide. Unfortunately, losing more time to the leaders, and he's trying to just limp his truck. I might be coming to pit road with how slow he's going here. I'm keeping an eye on him. Nope, just working his truck back into up to speed. But there was a little incident there in turn 5 with these guys getting down the hill into the double right there.
Yeah, and just as you mentioned that, the battle for fifth is heating up on track as Alonso has cut the lead or the gap down to about half a second here. As they go down the long back, or about to enter the long back straightaway.
So we see here on screen Cam Stone still maintaining his gap. There's Guarnieri and Chocano as Guarnieri's wayward off of turn 5 there. He actually will give up that spot to Alonso. I'll put Alonso up to 5th. Anthony falling back to 6th here. Again, in a strategy that might be like Anthony's, he's want to make sure you have tires for the end of the race, or the end of the stage here. So maybe not ideal for him to be losing the back end of his truck like that off of the double right. Whereas Alonso, being nice and patient, is able to take advantage of that that mistake and take the position away from Anthony. Now he sets his sights, Chicano does, on Schartner up in 4th, who is some 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and Schartner actually just lost position to the number 63 of Hicksonball. He is just continuing to climb his way up the field. I've noticed he's been the fastest truck on track for several laps in a row. And Hicksonball is not too far from Costarellos, and he's going to be hounding on the back bumper of the number 6 truck here pretty soon.
So, Cody, tell me, I know you aren't racing here at Motorsport, but in these trucks, is it hard to manage how hard you feel like you have to go through the stage here? At what point do you feel like you have to take that risk for something like, say, track position, as compared to making sure you still have a truck for later in the race?
Yeah, then that's always definitely a worry, especially at road courses. I think the biggest thing here the hardest thing to manage your pace is that if you're trying to go to the lap 32 of the stage break, you may be losing 2 or 3 seconds a lap, which at that point, it may not be worth it because the gap between the leaders and you may be too great where they may be able to come in for a splash and go and end up making the end of the race. Granted, some of these guys, as mentioned, like Cameron Stone and Jimmy Costarellos, who are pushing as Bryson Hicksonball goes for the pass on them, it's important that these guys protect their equipment, and at the same time, the guys who are not racing for stage points, just going for the win, they're able to push it a little harder than the guys for points.
And that's a good point. There are a lot of Cup Series guys. As we see Jimmy Costarellos go wide here in turn 5, he's going to be able to rejoin without losing a spot here. It looks like it. Schartner closing in behind there. Maybe a little rattled after Bryson caught him so fast there. But your top 2 right now are Cup Series drivers, so these points for them at this stage end, Josh, don't count. So actually, your highest running Truck Series regular is Andrew Schartner in 4th, or excuse me, Jimmy Costarellos now running 3rd, with Andrew Schartner trailing him close behind in 4th. So the stage points, I mean, if they matter to these guys, maybe the strategy was to take that extra save and potentially beat them on the pit delta it takes for them to come through, get a splash, and get back out, as compared to the time you still have from being on track without having to pit at all. As we see, the fastest truck on track actually was Rich Petrucco there that last lap. It's some 2/10 faster than our driver in 2nd, Bryson Hicksonball.
Yeah, I'm wondering, with Chocano being in 5th here, we do, like you said, have Stone and Hicksonball 1st and 2nd, Costarellos 3rd, and Schartner 4th. Chocano, our points leader, he's probably kind of liking to see 2 Cup drivers out front, because that means he's only losing stage points to 2 drivers rather than 4 sitting in the position he's sitting in right now. So, having that stage break coming up, it's still quite a ways away, as we're only on lap 9, and stage 1 is going to end on 32. Still a long way to go in the stage, but I'm wondering if, he's just kind of riding comfortable. And actually, he has Guarnieri right on his bumper with the battle for 5th.
So we see these two are meeting again. Cody actually mentioned potentially a little bit of history between these 2 drivers. Anthony is just hanging his truck out, trying to get back to Alonso after giving up the spot just about a lap or 2 ago. Now, the laps are so long here at Motorsport, it's hard to keep up with it. from what happens on track to where's Anthony runs wide in turn 1. He's going to lose a lot of time out of that. Not going to be able to charge after Alonso as much as Alonso runs wide in turn 2. So kind of splitting the difference there a little bit. Maybe still a little time game for Alonso. But that's a good point, Josh, that only 2 drivers, Costarellos and Chardner, are going to score more points than Alonso Chicano. But those 2 drivers have much less starts, so they're not really factoring into the points battle as much. So your highest driver that scored stage points, what a slide there for Chicano back there. We didn't quite see it in our picture, but the driver that has scored the most points throughout the series in terms of stage points is your point leader, Alonso Chicano. So interesting to see how he's going to take this stage forward in terms of how he's going to manage what he feels like he needs to do in terms of going for the points, or if he's going to be looking ahead toward a race win now that he's already 54 points out in front over Anthony Guarnieri, who is in his mirror right now.
Yeah, and you have to figure that with Guarnieri right behind Alonso, that it's going to make it very interesting here to see how Alonso drives. As I mentioned, having the run-ins that they've had at numerous tracks, it has to factor into the driver's mindset a little. Me personally, there's always 1 or 2 guys that if they're behind me, I'm a little more worried about than others. But it definitely makes for an interesting aspect.
The battle for the lead is actually heating up as Hixenbaugh is pretty close to the back bumper of Cameron Stone. This is going to be an exciting pass, I'm sure. The little rivalry between these two going on. They are teammates, but they have a rivalry.
Yeah, and going into this race, the last time these 2 were on track in the Truck Series was Gateway, where Bryson and Cam did get into it, where Cameron Stone threw it in the corner and ended up taking himself and Bryson out. Cam sustained less damage than Bryson, and was able to go on to win that race. But we'll see what happens here if Bryson decides to repay the favor at all.
We actually have a truck stopped and now is rolling. That's going to be the number 32 of Ryan Samuelson. He is 8 laps down. He was sitting in the pits for a while. It's come back out. Looks like he's getting his machine back going. As we go back to the lead, battle for the lead here. It is so close between Hixenbaugh and Stone. It looks like Stone might have gotten just a little bit loose there. But Hixenbaugh is not able to pounce on that. Stone still leads for now.
Not sure if we're able to hear the driver's scanner, but it was pretty good right there. Hixenbaugh teasing Stone a little bit on the radio as we see Stone starting to get that rear of the truck just a little wayward, trying to hang on, give it everything he can get here ahead of Bryson Hixenbaugh. A huge draft for Hixenbaugh up the back straightaway here. It matters, like I said earlier, with this such a long straightaway that the top speeds are going to reach upwards of 160 miles per hour. Looking at Hixenbaugh, taking a look to the outside, not quite there. He's going to tuck back in line. Not too many passing zones, Josh, here at Motorsport. Mainly at the end of the back straightaway, getting into the S's, especially down at turn 5 when you come down the hill into that heavy braking zone. And then just kind of nitpicking here and there on the different less technical sections, more flowing sections such as the S's in the 3rd sector, or even these first few turns that these guys are going through. Got to hit them right. It's hard to set up a pass doing that when everyone needs to hit it basically the same in terms of the best racing line to take. We see Stone just running it maybe a little wide. He's sideways off of 4 here, off of turn 4, and that puts Hixenbaugh right back on his tailgate, going down through the long left-hander into the double right. Looking like Stone's thinking a little defensive. Hixenbaugh thinking about the outside move. He's going to try to punch it out on corner exit, but give that one to Stone. He had a much better double right-hand corner than Bryson, and actually pulls a couple truck lanes on him.
Yeah, I've been noticing here, it seems like Stone is better from turn 1 to about those double right-handers, and then Hixenbaugh takes over as being the best truck out there between the two. And right there, I mean, Stone did get a couple of truck lengths on Hicksonball, but I think that gap that Stone is really able to set on Hicksonball right after the start-finish line here definitely helps in that second portion of the track that I was talking about, that I think Hicksonball probably has the advantage.
So we're only working lap 14 here. We're just about 2-3 laps away from the halfway point in the stage. Not really seeing anyone make their moves yet, except for 2 drivers toward the back, while Felver has pitted because of his damage there. I did not get the chance to see Alex Princeton, but he has already taken his stop as well just 3 laps ago. Looked like a 4-tire stop for the 9 truck and filling it full of fuel. I don't know if the tires are quite worth it in terms of the pace that he'll get with the extra fresh rubber compared to the other guys. Maybe it ends up being worth it in the end. The pace has fallen off dramatically from their qualifying times. We were running in the 1 minute 20 second bracket under qualifying time load. We're down to the 1 minute 23s for most of these trucks on track now in terms of race pace. About 3 seconds of fall off already here in the truck series as we see Stone sideways. They think he got a little bit of grass as he was trying to get down to the braking zone, and Hicksonball actually being the cautious driver there let's Stone actually be able to save his truck. Stone wheeling in that thing after a big moment there coming into the S section.
Yeah, it's a big Code Brown right there. Caught the grass.
Yeah, and just as that was happening, back in the field, Alonso actually was sideways in the double right-hand turn, where he got sideways. It didn't lose the spot, but was definitely a moment that had him worried.
So a little bit of insight there to the radio of Cam Stone. Like we said, he is our in-race reporter tonight, so we are scanning his radio here and what he may be thinking through his brain throughout the race tonight, whether he's conveying that here in the broadcast or over the driver scanner to his fellow truck drivers out here. You heard Hicksonball on the driver scanner, if you're sitting here spectating the session, that Hicksonball was hoping that Cam would save that because it was right in front of him. But what a save. Now Hicksonball, again, right smack dab in the back of Stone looking for a draft. He's going to pull out to the left side. He's got his nose there. I don't know, Josh, if this is enough for a pass, but we're going to see something happen down here into the S section.
I don't think that's where you want to make a pass either. I think Stone has the advantage being side by side into that corner, being a right-hander. And it does give Stone the advantage on exit. And it looks like Hicksonball is actually going to pit. So Hicksonball comes down to the safety of pit road. And pit speed here, I believe, is going to be 35 miles an hour. So don't want to speed here. He's going to get into his pit stall. Looks like...
So we see the right side of the truck going up. That means that's 4 tires for Hicksonball here. I'm actually surprised by this call for the 63. I would have thought it would have been mostly fuel only because you only need about a splash to make sure you can make it to the end of the stage. But he's choosing, Hicksonball there, choosing to take the 4 tires. We'll see how this pays off for him. Josh, that's the first of our front runners to make the stop. We'll see if anyone responds on this next lap. Our leader, Cam Stone, that was right there just ahead of Hicksonball, is only halfway through the race course right now. So be interesting to see how these front few, while Jimmy Costarellas is 8.5 seconds off of our leader, see if any of these guys respond to what the 63 has just potentially started.
Yeah, if I'm Stone, I'm going to choose to pit right now. You know, Hicksonball was close. He took tires. He's got that fresh rubber. He's going to close in, and Stone actually does stay out. So, I don't know. Depending on what Stone's pit strategy is here, I think Hicksonball has the advantage if Stone does take 4 tires. But like you said, we only need just a splash of fuel to make it to the end. That he may not even be worried about taking those tires. Run this a little bit longer, getting fuel, and getting right back on out there. You don't even need a lot of fuel, just enough to get you to that stage break.
Well, right now, if anyone was thinking of doing the saving strategy, that's out the window if you're already behind Bryson Hicksonball, who is back into 4th after making a pass on Brian Branham over here in the S section. in the last sector of the track. So at that point, I mean, the only guys that realistically should even think about making it toward the end of the stage is the 57 of Stone, the 6 of Costarellos, or the 27 of Petrucco, who we did see have some trouble early on, so he did lose a lot of track position and time. Maybe he has made some of that back up, but at a delta of about 3 seconds from fresh rubber to where they are now, 16 laps onto these tires, you're going to see Hixenbaugh make this charge. So if the driver makes a quick response in response to Hixenbaugh taking his pit stop, it's got to happen now, because you've already lost almost 6 seconds at this point, being 2 laps removed from Bryson Hixenbaugh making his stop. So it'll be interesting if some of these guys are already making their beds, and maybe the strategy becomes a little more predictable in terms of seeing maybe Stone's only going to take a splash of fuel here toward the end of the stage. Same thing with the Petrucco. Costarellos might be a guy that's actually trying to save since he's fallen so far away from Cam Stone. And as I say that, Rich Petrucco on pit road right now for service for him. As we see him coming down the front stretch pit road, he's going to spot his box here and pull on in. I'm not surprised if he takes tires. Maybe a little surprised if he decides to take the rubber. And I did see that right side jacked up. So 4 tires for Petrucco as well. These guys have, I believe, 4 total sets to use up, including the set they started on in the race tonight. And I'm getting reports Cody Bird has sights on a potential problem on the racetrack.
Yeah, the number 10 of Andrew S. Seems to have blown his motor. Let's go back and see what happened to him. That whole last lap, it looked like he was slow on the track. So going back, it looks like going into turn 1. Rumble strips and noses it into the wall at the beginning of lap 17, blowing his motor. He was able to get back to pit road safely. Let's see how long that damage takes, but more likely it seems like his race may be done.
And there we just saw the replay. Like Cody said, hit the rumble strips, and that just sent him around. Tough end for Schartner there, who was running pretty well, and not what he wanted.
Oh, big problems on the front stretch here. Costarellos decided to make his pit stop, but he missed his pit stall. He is trying to get himself lined up. He actually missed the stall completely here and had to stop to be able to get himself turned in the right direction to make it into his stall just ahead of the 10 truck. Maybe Schartner having to take that damage fix blocked enough of Jimmy's view of his pit box, but he missed his stall. He's going to lose all the time he had up on Alonso Chicano. As we see Chicano, I think only just 2 seconds back now from Jimmy as he gets off. There you see Chicano in the back of your picture there. Huge gains on Jimmy after Jimmy missing his pit stall right there. Terrible error and mistake to make. I mean, Cody, at this point, something like that happens to Jimmy Costarellos. Do you think about recovery, or are you just giving it everything you got here to the end of the stage now? I mean, what goes through the mind of a driver right then and there after making an error like that?
In that case, a lot of times it really depends where you are on track and what you're going for. In this case, he's safely inside the top 10. He'll get stage points. Going into these last couple laps after making a forced error there, it's important just to make sure that you don't damage the car. I've definitely done that before, driving through way too many pit boxes and then having to back up. And it's not a good feeling, but you just got to remember that we are only on lap 19 out of 64 here, and that it's still a very long race with the caution still upcoming.
So big mistake for the 6 truck there. Actually loses his spot to the 16 of Anthony Gornieri and the 74 Brian Branham, but those 2 trucks have not pitted. Your highest driver that has made his stop is Bryson Hixenbaugh. Still about 11.5 seconds away from your leader right now, as the 6 has a big problem here out of turn 1. He is sideways on the track. Chicano's gonna get by, but the 6 has just hit the wall pretty hard with his right front on the truck. He just dropped it off the track just a little bit there out of turn 1 onto the rumble strips and right back into the inside wall. That's actually a pretty heavy hit. I would not be surprised if he has some motor damage, and that's going to hurt his speed, especially on something like the long straightaway, in addition to also digging out of the corners.
Yeah, and
Go ahead, Cody.
what surprises me there is that it was teammates that they wrecked in almost identical fashion right near each other in the same spot. Wondering if it has something to do with the setup there for SPR Racing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, the exact same thing happened to him. That did happen to the number 10. So, not good look for those two drivers, but the number 6 of Costarellos did not kill his truck like Schartner did to his truck. Looks like Costarellos is still going to be staying out and not really worried about pitting right now. Probably just going to limp it around till we get to that stage break.
So coming back toward the front of the field here, Stone still has not made his stop yet. He's 21 laps on these tires, and I'm seeing the 6 truck is off track again in turn 3. And I'm thinking, yeah, he just pulled a reset over here in turn 3. So Jimmy not having a good night after making that mistake, as we see him there on your screen. He's just going to, I don't know if he was just trying to slow down for the corner or what happened. No, looks like the motor dropped out. So that's 2 out of the SPR camp. The SPR drivers losing their motors tonight. Plus, on top of that, one other driver in the race was Rich Petrucco, who had damage early from an incident and is now actually riding 4th. Second driver to have made his stop already, but in terms of effective position, he's looking at about effective P3, P4. Brian Branham still needs to make his stop, as well as Anthony Gornieri, but Gornieri did just get passed by Petrucco here on track. So we look back toward the front of the field here with Cam Stone running through the S section, coming to complete his 22nd lap of the race, I believe. Actually, we catch him, pick up your live picture here on the back straightaway. Yes, that truck you're seeing in the background is Bryson Hicksonbaugh on the fresh tires. Not looking good for the driver of the 57 truck at this point in the race.
Yeah, I was trying to see something here, because it looked like Stone was slow, and that just allowed Hicksonbaugh to close the gap really quickly. But I'm not exactly sure if that's the case, if I'm just crazy and Hicksonbaugh has been slowly catching this entire time. But I thought the gap was a lot bigger than what it was, or is. I'm not sure if Stone had an issue or not.
Went off and turned.
Okay, so you heard it there. He did go off track, so my assumptions were right there. So far, still the leader. Hicksonbaugh closing in very quickly, though.
Now, something else to consider here as we close in on the end of stage 1. You have to be wondering if Cameron Stone is in full fuel save mode. Over the past couple laps, it appears Bryson has been closing in at 2 or 3 seconds a lap. So he may be trying to save to make it to the end of the first stage.
And we've actually got 3 trucks on the track right now that have not pit. That's going to be number 57 of Cam Stone, 74, who's riding in 3rd place right now, Brian Branham, and number 16 of Anthony Guarnieri, who's running 5th currently. Those 3 drivers have not come down to the pit road to take any tires or fuel. And Stone actually is going to get loose a little bit there on the final corner, turn 10, but still the leader, at least for another lap, with Hicksonbaugh using that fresh rubber to close in.
So
it's a difference of 24 lap
So
on
I
tires.
mentioned earlier that Rich Petrucco had gotten by the 16 of Guarnieri. Rich made a mistake again here on the track and is now behind the 16 truck again. But the fresher rubber is going to prevail here as Guarnieri runs himself into the grass in a terrible spot on the track. He's actually going to fall further away from the track there, getting on the grass wide there in the S section. Bad mistake for the 16 truck to encounter. At this point, he is only, what is that, about 9 seconds up on the 25, who has already made a stop behind him in Alonso Trocano. So Guarnieri, having made his bet already in this stage, looking to get to the end of it. I know the fuel situation for the 57 truck is not looking good. Cam, I'm not sure where you're quite at on the track yet. Can you give us a little insight into if you're looking to be able to make it to the end of the stage here?
Well, I'm definitely in save mode. Not really much point in trying to hold Bryson off right here. He's got the rubber, doesn't need to save fuel either. So, tough spot right here.
And you actually see Hixenball.
So that's our quick little insight with Cam Stone there, Josh.
You actually see Hixenball pulling to the right to get around Stone, and Stone is just going to let him have it, as he said. Well, not quite yet. Stone's still ahead. But Hixenball is trying really hard right now to get around. He's looking to the outside and going to cut down into the inside, going into turn, I believe that's 4. But still riding behind Stone, not quite able to get past him.
So, Cody, these are two of your teammates on the Cup side of things. At this point, even if it is a teammate, and you know the situation difference between Stone and Hixenball, with Stone needing to save fuel still, Hixenball putting the pressure on, trying to make the pass. As even if your teammates, do you just let him by? Do you try to force the issue with him, make him burn his rubber off even more? And if you're going to be able to make it on fuel, try to even out the tires a little bit? Like, what goes through the mind of a driver in that situation, for example, where you guys technically are teammates?
Yeah, I obviously my situation with my teammates is a little different on the Cup side of things, but definitely I feel like Bryson and as I'm talking you hear on the radio, Bryson Hixenball referencing the Chase Elliott incident from the first year here, where he got into I forget exactly who going into that final corner and spun him. But as I was saying, these two have had a friendly rivalry on and off the track, and has had multiple run-ins with them getting into each other. So I definitely think Cam is trying to race Bryson a little harder here as he gets sideways. But it's definitely something where they're trying to push each other to their limits, and it produces for some great racing.
Now, Cody, that cannot spell well for Cam Stone at this point. He's sideways through the double right there. What a save. That can't spell like a win-win situation at all for Cam Stone here, right? Because he's trying to make it to the end of the stage on fuel, correct?
Correct. And as mentioned previously, with them just going for the wins, Cam's going to do everything in his power to try to keep Bryson behind him. As like I keep on saying, Cam's out to prove something, that he's just as talented as Bryson on the side of racing. And he's going to do whatever it takes, and it may result in disaster for the both of them, but they're going to do everything in their power.
So great scenes up here, Josh, watching this battle. We're right on board with Bryson Hixenball. See how he goes through the first sector here, trying to see where he can gain on Cam Stone a little bit. Just noticing a little differences in the tires here. I mean, Bryson's getting a much better run on exit right there, even through turn 1 as they go down the hill into turn 2. You should see massive difference here between these two guys in terms of pace, and not quite seen as much as I thought they would. Now, Cam's times are still sitting in the 122, 123 bracket, which again is about 2 to 3 seconds falling off pace from the qualifying times. But Bryson's right there with him at this point, so maybe there is a little bit of tire equalization there, although there is a difference of about 16 laps between these two trucks in terms of tire life. They're only, 5.5 laps away from the end of the stage, Josh. Maybe we have a full-on battle for the stage win right here in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I think so. I wonder, if it's that Hixenball really can't get by Stone, or if Hixenball is just trying to push Stone out of fuel. We did hear Cam Stone say that he was in full fuel save mode, but this battle, he can't be really saving much fuel with them two battling. So I think Hixenball here might just be trying to push all the fuel he can out of Stone, and really just kind of, not have Stone as the competition going into later portions of the race. Because if Stone doesn't have fuel, depending on where he would run out of fuel, it's a long way back to pit road.
So we're riding on board with Hicksonball here. Why not take a listen to these guys and how these trucks are handling it? And never mind, they're side by side right here down the hill, coming into the double left section. I've been calling, double right section. Hicksonball rubbing up against Stone there out of the corner, give that position in the run off to Stone, but look for Hicksonball to try to use the draft again, maybe pull out. Here, coming into the S section, that's Carl Felver just ahead of him, a lap truck. So maybe this plays into the factor of these two battling at the lead here. Cleaning up a few things, Felver is one of the last trucks still remaining in this race. He actually just passed the 10 of Andrew Schartner, who did get his damage repaired. Felver 7 laps down, Schartner 8 laps down. Since retiring from the race, Joseph Lester, Dustin Webb, Jonathan Ballou, and Ryan Samuelson reported that he had a technical difficulty on his end. Felver and Schartner getting ready to pass Costarellos, who also lost his motor here. So that's a little cleanup there in terms of the back part of the field, as we still sit here and watch Stone being hounded by Hicksonball.
Yeah, so Eric, I wanted to ask you here, going back to a little bit of the teammate thing, are you nice to your teammate? I mentioned earlier, these two are like rivals as well. So first of all, you've got 3 things. Battle for the lead, battle between teammates, and battle between rivals. Eric, if you were in this situation, and as we actually see the 99 of Carl Felver go around, but he was already lapped, and looks like he's going to get right back on the track safely. But as I was saying, you've got those 3 factors here, Eric. If you're in that situation, what are you going to do, knowing it's your teammate but a rival, and it's for the lead at that, with just a couple laps to go to the end of the stage?
So as a driver, and I'm not sure if Cody can add anything to this here after I'm done, but as a driver, your first and foremost goal is to beat your opponent, whether that is your teammate, a rival, or whatever else is on the track in front of you. That is your goal to beat. So in this case, in my mind, as a driver in the Cup Series as well, I'm thinking I want to stay ahead of Hicksonball. Even in my case where I need to be thinking about maybe some fuel save, maybe hanging onto my tires, making sure that the tire life stays in these things to have more equalization across it to someone who is fresher rubber behind me. As a driver, you want to beat the guy that is coming up behind you. You want to make sure you stay ahead of him. So in my mind, this is going to be an ultimate battle. But I'm not thinking Stone's... I still don't think, with how hard Hicksonball's been pushing Stone, that Stone is going to make it to the end of the stage here with just 2.5 laps remaining in the stage at this point. I just don't see that happening from my point of view.
Yeah, and as you were saying with Cam and Bryson, Cam has stated in multiple interviews that he, as they're just talking on track right now about Cam potentially running out of fuel, but Cam has stated in interviews that he does everything possible to beat Bryson because Bryson has pushed him to become a better racer. In the short amount of time that they have been teammates, Cameron Stone has won 3 races in the Cup Series. So it's definitely something of pride for him to be out in front of Bryson.
So big moment for a decision in the race right there. That was the last opportunity to pit. Pit road is now closed as they've taken 2 to go in the stage, and Cam Stone has chosen to stay out. So if he's got enough fuel, this is an amazing strategy. If he doesn't have enough fuel, I'm not sure I would take that risk at this point in the race, because towing, if you run out of fuel, like Josh said earlier, in the wrong part of the track, is Stone's off track here. He's going to lose the lead and give that lead now to Hicksonball with just 1.5 laps left in the stage. I mean, at this point, towing, if you're in the wrong part of the track, is going to cost you, I would think, cost you at least a lap, and with no other guaranteed yellow, I'm not sure that's a risk you want to be taking, but Cam Stone's going to try to save fuel here as he has gathered his truck back up, but the stage is looking very much in Bryson's hands at this point.
Yeah, so Brian Branham was one of the trucks that had stayed, was still on track. He did complete his pit cycle 2 laps ago. Anthony Guarnieri is actually right in front of Hicksonball. That's the truck just ahead, the number 16. He's still on the same strategy. If he goes a lap down here, he will be the lucky dog, as Hicksonball is coming to the white flag for the stage. But we see that Guarnieri's going to get into the grass. He doesn't go around. He's back on track, but as long as nothing happens to Brian Branham, for Branham to go a lap down, Guarnieri will get the lucky dog there. But only 2 drivers to try that strategy of staying out the entire run, that being the 57 of Stone and the 16 of Guarnieri. Still about a little bit more than half a track to go until the end of the stage. So lots of time for something to happen if it's going to happen.
So not totally surprised by someone at the front of the field taking the risk in the strategy. It was looking good there for Cam Stone until that off. Guarnieri not quite having the pace that I would have thought to pull the strategy off, and it's shown at this point. He's now 1 lap down. Branham has fresh tires now. He did take 4 on his stop there just before the stage end. So Branham now actually pulling away from your leader on the fresher rubber. He is the fastest truck on track currently in the 1:21 second bracket, 1 minute 21 second bracket, compared to the leader being at a 1:22. There it is. Bryson Hicksonball crosses the line. He will be your stage winner tonight. Remember, only 1 stage, but double points in this stage. So for these top 2-3 guys now, doesn't really matter too much, as the Cup Series drivers, and Stone, I believe, is sputtering down here in turn 1.
He's either sputtering or clutching it. I did hear the gas go by, but he's probably just barely hanging on there. And the yellow hasn't come out yet. We still have to wait for Brian Branham to cross the line, and he's just now on the Mario Andretti straightaway and about to come into the S portion of the track. So if Stone is going to have enough fuel to still make it around and be able to take the yellow before pits open, he's going to have to pray that there is a lot more fuel in there. And that should bring the caution out.
So that should be the end of the stage there. Still haven't thrown it. Not sure what the holdup here is for these guys.
Yeah.
Stone, we're getting a report, is out of fuel here, Josh. And that is not a good part of the track to be out of fuel.
Yeah, so reason for the caution not coming out with Mr. Ryan Samuelson being the admin of the race. He hasn't had the opportunity to throw the caution.
All right, man. Caution is out.
Which has caused the issue. And there's the caution flag as we speak.
And I think Guarnieri is also out of fuel. So the 2 trucks that made it ran out of fuel, and they had to tow back to pit road. That's going to hurt them a lot. With this being the only caution, that hurts them.
So unfortunately, I'm not sure. I actually ended up out of the channel there for a moment. I'm not sure if you reported or not, but Ryan Samuelson was the admin in charge of being able to throw the yellows tonight. Well, unfortunately, he has fallen out due to technical difficulty. So there was not a contingent plan in place for these guys. Cam Stone, our in-race reporter, also an admin, was able to throw the yellow, but it's just a lap too late for the stage and also for the 57 and the 16 having to make pit stops now. And it's going to be long stops because they are out of fuel and had to tow. So this will be interesting how this all cycles back out with these guys. If they do lose the lap here, it looks like they've already lost 2 and 3 laps respectively. It'll be interesting where they cycle back out, what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and just listening in as Cam is the other admin, maybe he can elaborate a little more. But it does appear because of Ryan leaving the race that he will make sure that him and Ryan do not get penalized to too much of a degree due to the error. Do you care to comment a little more on that, Cam?
Yeah, I was expecting Ryan to throw the caution at 32 since he wasn't here to do that. Basically me and Anthony had exactly the amount of fuel we had to have to finish the stage, and then the plan was to pit. As soon as the caution came out, we could have clutched and coasted a lot more to make it around. But since the caution didn't come out, we ran out of gas before the caution was able to come out, and before I learned that there was an issue. So we're both going to get wave rounds here to hopefully get back on the lead lap.
So the admin team going to work hard to get that sorted through, as it was an error on the admin team's part. So they're going to do the right thing and Stone is going to give himself and Guarnieri a lap back. So I don't know how much that will help them, though, with Guarnieri now 3 laps down. But it'll be interesting to see how they do actually hold that one through.
So cleaning up the stage finish here, Bryson Hicksaball, your stage winner in that number 63 truck, bringing home second in the stage after everything that happened to him early in the race. They're on lap 1 and lap 2 and lap 4. Rich Petrucco second as we see these guys coming down for their stops now. Alonso Chocano scoring more stage points, the highest or the most stage points scored this season by any Galaxy Truck Series driver, in third. Alex Princeton recovers back to P4. Brian Branham in 5th. And then, unfortunately, Stone and Guarnieri fall to 6th and 7th at the stage finish there. Again, due to an unfortunate circumstance, but we should see that get rectified in some light. Now, both those drivers are back out on track, trying to catch back up to the pace car, as we see Hicksaball first off the race off pit road. Not too much in it for him to take, so should be pretty status quo for these guys getting back off pit road. Maybe some tires for these guys behind, as well as your leader. So it looks like some damage fix going on for the rest of the field. Hicksaball, the only one choosing to just get his 4 tires and leave.
Yeah, this is going to help out Rich Petrucco a lot here, because he is going to be able to get that damage fixed. And with only 5 trucks on the lead lap, we may have a couple more, depending on how the admin team does take care of that. So at least 7th. This will definitely help out Rich Petrucco a lot, getting that damage fixed there. It's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be better. And actually, we see there the view. It does look like the spoiler is still in the air, but not as bad, I believe, from this camera view that I see.
So with it being a road course, Josh, we actually have a decent amount of time to be able to catch up with our stage winner. So we'll go ahead and bring Bryson Hicksaball into the TV booth here for an interview. Bryson, this is Eric on the radio. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, Hicksaball, you are the stage winner. You chose to pit right there, right around the halfway point in the stage, and ran Cam Stone back down, forced him into an error. Was the plan going in to make that strategy work? Did you kind of fly by the seat of your pants? How did you approach that first stage there?
Well, I actually thought the first stage was going to be 30 laps when I was originally planning out strategy, and that would have been just enough to make it and not run out under caution. But when Ryan said 32 at the beginning of the race, I knew that we weren't going to make it and just pit at 16. I was real surprised that Cam tried to make it.
So now your competitor actually ran out of fuel there under yellow and has since lost all of his track position in this. We see a delay on the green here, so we're still going to wait another lap before we get back to it. But now, unfortunately, that's less competition, but that is less competition up at the front for you. with this final stage being less green flag laps on your stuff, is it doable to make it here in the rest of the way home after getting fuel right there?
It's probably doable. You shouldn't see anybody run out here, but it'll be interesting to see if people do run out just from the pace laps here. It looks like Cam is getting his lap back because there was some issue with when to throw the caution. Waited a little bit too long, and that's why they ran out of fuel there.
Alrighty, well, that is your stage winner, getting double stage points tonight. Unfortunately, he's a Cup Series driver, so it doesn't really count toward anything more than just he is your stage winner. That's Bryson Hicksonball in the 63 Huggers Oranges truck. We'll hopefully be talking to him later on tonight. When we get down to the checkered flag, Josh still got another lap yet, but these guys are looking to pick the pace up. Like Bryson said, shouldn't see anyone run out of fuel. I think it's just going to be all out for this final stage.
Yeah, I don't believe that fuel will be an issue from here on out. So we shouldn't have any issue on that. Alonso Chicano, being our points leader, sitting in good position here. He's going to restart second. And actually, let's take a look at our point standings. It's the first time we've been able to have a point standings graphic update for you. Now, this is after Daytona, so this isn't, with the double points from the stage tonight. But you saw there, coming into this race, Guarnieri was 54 points out on Chicano. And with that issue there, I'm not sure how they're going to score it with where Guarnieri finished, but this should definitely help Chicano gain more of a lead on that point standings here, and definitely looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out the rest of the race. But there is a points update after Daytona, and you see kind of in the background there that 3-wide finish from last week involving Rich Petrucco, Joey King, and John Delaney, just faintly in the background there on the point standings. We've got 1 to green to get us back
So,
to...
Cody...
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
We'll bring Cody back into the booth with us here. Cody, you heard what Bryson said there on the stage interview break. Pretty much going to be guys going at it here. As for someone in the front, like Hicksonball is he just going to manage the race from here? Does he worry about another pit stop maybe like he did there in the first stage? Did something like that change his mind for potentially making a pit stop, be able to be catching back up to the leader?
I think Bryson's going to be able to really control the field here towards the end of this race. Should be a very interesting stage though, even with Bryson up front. You have the points leader in Alonso running second right now. Some interesting news and notes. Rich Petrucco actually got a unsafe pit exit, so he has to start towards the back of the field. So it should be interesting to see him make his way back up through the field, as well as Cam Stone. It's going to make those two drivers, when they have nothing to lose, Rich Petrucco and Cameron Stone, when they have nothing to lose in the race, that's when they're the most dangerous. And it should put on for a very good show as they work their way through the lap traffic.
So that was my next question for you, Cody, was you've been listening into the driver scanner just as much as I have. Was there any comments or concerns on the radio looking at it? As we see, it looks like they're getting ready to go back to green here. Pace car is in. Hicksonball takes off. And we are back under green here at Mosport. But just finishing up that thought, did you hear anything else on the radio? Anything we're going to see these guys be concerned about the rest of the way home?
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot for them to worry about. Obviously, with Cameron and Rich starting towards the back of the field, and maybe Cam can touch on this a little as he starts to work his way back up through. But those two are just going to have to be very weary of the cars that don't have the pace compared to them. Yeah.
So, Josh, we see your leader, Hicksonball, down through the double right-hander here. out to already a healthy margin of about a second and a half over Alonso Chicano here just behind him. The battle is actually more so for second. Princeton, who had a rough kind of start to the race, is already back up into third, chasing Alonso here, Josh. So we're going to see a disparity here throughout the field with some of the guys coming from the back, someone like Cam Stone as well in that 57 truck.
Yeah, Stone is already in fourth, but he does have those 2 trucks in front of him that he needs to pass to try to get back up to Hicksonball. But right here for second, Princeton in a good spot, riding in third, not quite up to Chicano's bumper or tailgate to do anything to try to take second away right now. Looks more like, rather than for second, we got a battle for third now between Stone and Princeton. And it looks like Stone is just going to drive it hard. He's in the grass. The number 57 of Stone. He's still riding in the grass. And we've got another, the 74 as well, of Brian Branham through the grass. So 2 of the front runners in the grass right there. That's going to hurt Stone. Any chance right there, that hurts him with 25 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like when Cam went into that corner, he just went in a little hard trying to get around the 9 of outs Princeton. Like I said, Cam is definitely living on the edge here. He wants to get back up to the bumper of Bryson and give him a battle for that lead as we look at Alonso currently in second ahead of Alex Princeton and now Rich Petrucco. But that's definitely going to light a fire under him. They try to get back up there.
So we see for the second time tonight, Rich Petrucco is having to make his way from the back of the grid back toward the front of the field. Catch a ride on his board with him here as he's chasing Alex Princeton right ahead of him. This is the battle for third, and then second's just out there ahead of him, even still, Alonso Chicano. Right down through here. Princeton closing in on Alonso. Rich wayward. He's having to catch the wheel there. Riding on board with him down here into 3. Looks like it's going to be status quo for now, but I would expect these guys to be going at it. Meanwhile, outside of our picture, we're seeing Stone in the grass there, just in the background. But the battle right here for second is probably the best on track all night.
Yeah, and the one who is loving this battle for second is not any of these 3 drivers. That is going to be your leader of Bryson Hicksonball, who is now way up in a 10-second lead over these guys. So he is loving this battle as you see Rich Petrucco actually getting around the number 9 of Princeton and now looking to take the spot from Chicano. He's not quite there yet, but he is going to be looking. And now out of turn 10, is he able to make anything work? No, he is not. Just going to ride in third for now, but he is closing the gap on number 25 of Alonso Chicano.
So 1 down, 1 more to go for Rich Petrucco here. He got by Princeton that lap. He's going to set his sights on Alonso Chicano. Looking maybe here into turn 2. Petrucco diving it up the inside. He's going to slide him as he widens out his arc on exit. He will get the position, take second away from Alonso, give Rich Petrucco that spot, and now he's got his sights set on Bryson. I'm not sure he can run him down. These guys were the fastest on track in practice, but the gap is up to 8.5 seconds at this point. Down a little bit from the 10 that we saw earlier. I believe Bryson may have made a mistake, but still a long way to go for Rich now that he's got second.
Yeah, he's just going to have to push hard here and hope that him pushing hard doesn't make a mistake himself, but also hope that Hicksonball makes some mistakes. Go off track, just anything, wheel hop. He's hoping Hicksonball has whatever it takes for Petrucco to get back up there and challenge for the lead. Looks like Chicano may have gotten a little loose there off turn 9. But he's still third. And Princeton isn't quite able to close in to take over that spot. But this is the closest battle on the track right now. And that is the battle for third between the number 9 of Princeton and the number 25 of Alonso Chicano.
So as we look on toward this battle for third, Princeton, one of the newer guys here in the series, your point leader Alonso in that 25 truck, more so a vet here in the Galaxy Truck Series. So young blood versus a slightly older blood here at Mosport. Looking pretty good apex there. Oh, that's your leader there in the background. Hicksonball off big in turn 5. He just got passed by Chicano and Princeton. He just lost the lead and about 13 seconds after all of that is said and done. Your leader with a huge mistake down here in the double right.
Oh, you love to see it.
So that's a little radio tidbit there from Cam Stone, listening to him all night long like we have been. I don't know what happened there, Josh. Just looks like Bryson got a little wayward in turn 5 down there in the double right, and he just lost a hold of the truck. I'm not sure if he just was tight. It looks more so like a condition where he just was not turning through that corner.
Yeah, I'm not able to pull up the replay on that to see what happened, but Rich Petrucco, my pick to win, is currently the leader.
Yeah, you could.
Go ahead, Cody.
No, sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just going to say right after that mistake by Hicksonball.
Yeah, but you could never count out that 63 car. He's shown already. He built up an 8-second lead in a matter of 3 laps after the restart. And from what it sounded like is that he got into that corner and the car just did not turn. And normally we don't see mistakes coming from the 63 truck. Only one other mistake this year in the truck series so far, spinning at Eldora. Obviously that's a track though that not a lot of us have laps at, but and then also at Gateway. So maybe he's starting to hit some of these tracks that are not in his favor, and it may be something to watch in both series, actually watching going forward.
The bookend night for the SPR guys. Just had 2 of the 3 drivers from SPR disconnect tonight. Shartner and Costarellos choosing to retire from tonight's event with 20 to go as they cross the line there. Meanwhile, the other bookend of that is your leader, Rich Petrucco, out front with a 5.5 second lead over Alonso Chicano in second. Third, Alex Princeton. And how about this, Josh? We'll let these guys take the sights and sounds in of Mosport with a little bit of turn it up. All right, may want to turn it back down here as we're coming back to you with pictures of the Galaxy Truck Series here at Mosport. 64 total laps. We are under 20 to go. We're at 18 to go as the leader crossed the line right there. Rich Petrucco, your leader. Out in front over now, Hicksonball getting through as we saw there on our little break. Hicksonball up 2 over Alonso Chicano and Alex Princeton, making quick and easy work of them there on the Mario Andretti backstretch. Now he sets his sights on Petrucco, about 6 seconds up the road. Meanwhile, not too far back in the background there, the gap's been pretty stable between... Oh, we got a spin in the back. Alonso Chicano around. I think he might have just collected the 57 of Stone. No, 57 of Stone does get by, but Alonso Chicano in the 25. Major trouble there through turn 4. Losing all of his track position. He loses third and fourth there to Alex Princeton and Cam Stone. Move the point leader back just a little bit. Big problems for the 25.
Actually, Alex Princeton had an issue there just before Alonso Chicano did. I'm not sure. Let's go back and see what happened to Princeton. Looks like he just got off track and went straight towards the wall. So this was all before Chicano had his issue. And then Chicano, let's see here, he's going went down through here and just got a little bit of the grass there. Stone took it way wide and was able to get by. So no issues for Stone there. But that is not what either the Princeton machine or the Chicano machine wanted to see, with only a handful of laps to go.
Yeah, and something to note on that whole thing. Alonso's definitely, his truck's been loose the entire race. It looked like it finally just caught up to him. That's big trouble for the point leader. What's a little of the saving grace here, though, is that 16 truck has been caught a lap down this entire second stage.
So that's a good point. The second driver in points in terms of Truck Series regulars is the 16 of Anthony Guarnieri, who did get trapped 1 lap down through unfortunate circumstances of the fuel incident there at the stage finish, where he was literally running out of fuel as the stage was finishing, and he was also 1 lap down already. So able to get back even to 1 lap down, but not going to look like he's going to recover without any other yellow in this race, which we won't see a yellow unless there's an absolute pileup by everyone left on the track. But these guys are so spread out that I don't expect that we'll see that tonight, Josh.
Yeah, there is nobody even close enough for a battle here. And Rich Petrucco, he's just riding along here. He was the fastest truck the last time by, running a 121.366. Meanwhile, Bryson Hicksonball ran a 121.436. So not much of a difference between the two. And even when Hicksonball has been faster, it's only been by a couple tenths of seconds. So I don't know, unless if Rich Petrucco has a big issue here. I don't think Bryson can catch him with only 16 coming to 15 laps to go. But that is if Rich Petrucco keeps his truck clean and doesn't get into any trouble, whether it's a lap car, which he is going to be closing in on the 16 of Guarnieri here pretty soon, or just by going off track off of his own mistake. We've seen a lot of mistakes here tonight so far. None really out of Rich Petrucco, but anything can happen with 15 laps to go here at Canadian Tire.
So as the two leaders trade blows back and forth at that 6 second gap that they got between them, the driver in third is now Cam Stone, actually starting to cut into it just a little bit, more so on Bryson than your leader, Rich. The gap was about 12 and a half, almost 13 seconds to the 63 truck in second. It's come down to about 11 seconds at this point in the race. Cam Stone released into third pretty much by free will compared to everyone else. I mean, he didn't have to make an evasive maneuver to the spinning Alonso Chicano there just a couple laps ago, but no other real challenge for him. So clean air, clean track. So I'll pass it off over here to Cody we're at the point where it's 15 to go in the race. It's just about the halfway point in, as we see Stone get a little wide right there through turn 5. He's able to hang on to it, but that's not going to help him catching up time. But Cody, I was going to ask you here, at the halfway point in this stage, do you feel like any of these drivers are going to pull the trigger and actually go ahead and pit 4 tires, having seen what Bryson did in the first stage where he did pit and ran the leader back down?
I think with the gap that's been built up by Rich Petrucco so far, the top 3 cars with the fastest pace all race are 1, 2, 3. I don't see any of those top 3. You may see a car farther back in the field, such as a 74, a Brian Branham or Alex Prinzen, pit for some tires, see if it gets them into the top, just switch positions up here. But I think these drivers currently have made their beds and they're ready to sleep in them. And the talent of these drivers is going to show if Bryson can chase back down Rich Petrucco and if Cameron Stone is able to get up in that mess as well.
Here we've got Rich Petrucco working on the lap truck of Guarnieri. Shouldn't be too much of a battle here. Guarnieri does pull to the side. That's going to allow Petrucco to get right on by. So, not too much of work for him. That's not really going to slow him down to Hicksonball. And Hicksonball has been faster the last couple of laps, but not by much again. This last time by, it was 4/10 of a second, or the time before that, I believe it was 4/1000 of a second. We'll see where they come through this time, and it is a big advantage for Hicksonball there. Petrucco running a 1:22.141, and Bryson running a 1:21.664. So about half of a second of a difference there for Hicksonball to close in on Petrucco, but still about 6 seconds is the gap between the two trucks with 13 laps to go. I'm still not quite sure. Actually, as Petrucco is going to spin in turn 5 here, and Hicksonball hits the wall head on. So Petrucco has an issue. Hicksonball hits the wall. He's going to tow it back to pit road. And now in second place is going to be Cam Stone, who is really far away. He's just now going into that corner that both of those drivers had issues in.
Huge race-changing implications. I can't believe it. Bryson Hicksonball goes down into 5, and he's stuck in the wall, so he has to tow. Now that releases Cam Stone into second, as Josh just said right there. 16 seconds is the gap he has to make up, because Stone has made some mistakes, as we saw there just a lap ago in turn 5. Turn 5 seems to be that hot spot tonight. But, I mean, at this point, Hicksonball had a tow from basically the opposite end of the track. His night's pretty much over.
Yeah, on the radio, you could hear him say that his car is toast. That has huge implications to this race. I'm sure nobody in the field loves that more than Cameron Stone, who's about 16 seconds back still. Or, sorry, gap's 15 seconds now. We'll see if Rich does the same maneuver as he has to get back by the 16 truck on track. And it sounds like Bryson's throwing in the towel on the night.
Yeah, this time looks like much cleaner around the 16 and much cleaner around 5 for Petrucco. Stone looks like hanging around 12 seconds back on Rich Petrucco. So I believe that's going to be my pick versus your pick there, Cody, as Hicksonball is out.
My pick was Hicksonball.
Oh, that's right.
It's not normal to see him make a mistake, especially something of that nature. We're so used to seeing him be an alien on track. We joke around with him a lot, saying how he's just not human. But as you can see there, he did show he was human in that instant.
Yeah, so my pick to win tonight was Cam Stone. released into second now. He's actually gained about 2 seconds at this point on Rich Petrucco. Last lap difference was a 121.76 for Cam Stone. Your leader, Petrucco, ran a 123.45. But, I mean, how about that, Cody? You're chasing the leader down, and he makes a mistake in front of you, and then something like that happens to you. How gut-wrenching does that have to be for Bryson, who was pretty much the fastest truck out here tonight?
100%. I mean, that has to hurt. You see in front of you the leader spin, and I'm sure we can probably touch on it a bit with Rich. Spinning from the lead, we share something in common now, me and the leader. Wow. But it's just gut-wrenching, and it goes both ways, especially with Rich. You feel like you have the race under your control, and then you just make a mistake and changes the whole outplex. Granted, he got very lucky that Bryson made an error there.
So, for those who don't know the context of what Cody was talking about right there, unfortunately at Michigan earlier in the year, you had a moment where you spun coming to the checkered flag off of turn 4 as the leader. Does that mess with your mind now? I understand your incident happened at the end of the race, but Rich still has another 10 laps out here to drive. So mentally, does that mess with you as a driver with such a big off, even though you did see behind you that the second place truck, probably your toughest competitor, just fell out of the race?
At the moment, it probably messes with your head, and probably for the next couple laps, it's going to just mess with how you approach the corner. As you can see, he makes that corner very smooth there, as he has been the last couple laps since the incident. But I think Rich has now put it in the back of his mind, especially seeing how he has a 13-second lead. It will be interesting to see how he approaches that corner for the rest of the race, though.
Alrighty, well, while we have the opportunity, might as well take us through the field here with about 9 laps to go when the leader crosses the line here. So we just documented everything that just happened to the 27 truck, but he is still your leader, Rich Petrucco, out front now. Since we've come back to green, or since Bryson Hicksonball had his first incident, Hicksonball having led most of the stage up to that point, Rich now not looking back toward your second place driver. Josh, give us the rundown on Cam Stone.
Cam Stone, he's been trying to... He was running up front all race long in the beginning first stage, but with running out of fuel now at the end of that first stage, really trying to work his way back up, had some incidents there. Running P2, not bad for him, and with those incidents, those issues from Princeton and the others, that definitely helps him to still get a good finish. Don't think he has enough to catch Petrucco, though, with only 9 laps to go. Cody?
So, after everything that's happened, that releases Princeton into third. Cody, you got more on Princeton.
Yeah, he's shown some speed here, obviously, since his mistake on the same lap as Alonso. Interesting to see how he approaches the closing laps of this race as well. Just another side note, I'm want to see how the rest of this race goes, especially with Cam. I'm sure in that cockpit right now, he has a full smile on his face since that incident.
Oh, for sure. Running fourth now after the problems with Bryson Hicksonball. Give it back to Alonso Chicano back here in the 25 truck. A lot of mistakes here in this final stage, but he still finds himself in fourth, which is going to be a good points night for your point leader, and outscoring the guy chasing him from behind, Anthony Guarnieri, by a decent amount of points after it's all said and done tonight. Chicano trying to recover now. Pretty easy drive here for P4. He still has a chance at P3 if he can run Princeton down. Princeton's some 8-9 seconds up the road from Alonso. No challenge from behind for Alonso, as Josh has more on the 74, Brian Branham.
Yeah, Brian, he's had a lot of issues tonight. I'm really shocked he's still on the lead lap, but good for him. He's kept it clean-ish. Has a little bit of damage, but still is on the lead lap. Now, he doesn't have much of a gap between him and Rich Petrucco, But still, it's got to be feel good to have all those issues that he's had and still run top 5 right here, even though it's come with help from the other competitors having issues as well. Because right there, you do see in the background that 27 of Rich Petrucco closing the gap to eventually lap him. But he's got to feel really good about being in 5th place right now.
So that's your through the field of your lead lap cars. Only 5 trucks left here on the lead lap, with just 7 laps remaining in tonight's event. The only other 2 on track, Anthony Gornieri, as we documented, got trapped a lap down with the unfortunate circumstance of running out of fuel there at the stage break about 30 laps ago at this point. And then Carl Felvers, the only other driver still remaining on track, had a lot of damage repair to get done throughout tonight's event. He is 8 laps behind the pace of your leader. He's got 1 more spot to make up, and that's the 63 of Hicksonball, who has since retired from tonight's event. Again, Hicksonball, Schartner, Costarellos, Lester, Webb, Ballou, and Samuelson all retiring from tonight's event. Most sports been an attrition race, Cody. With all that in mind, you've been watching our front 2. Is Cam Stone starting to close that gap at all?
It looks like over the past few laps, Rich Petrucco has started to really turn on his pace here towards the end of the race. He really wants to dig in and get his 3rd win of the season, which I believe would either be the season high or tie for the season high in wins.
I think he already has 3 wins on the season. Iowa is one of them. I know Daytona, and I'm trying to remember where the other one came from. I could be wrong on that, but I thought he already did have 3 wins on the season.
So most wins in the season, as Cody said, but it's actually only 2 wins. So Iowa and Daytona for Rich Petrucco. Alonzo Chicano also up there with 2 wins, as well as the driver in second, Cam Stone. All drivers with 2 wins. But if Rich can hang on to pull this off with just 6 remaining here, 5.5 as he rounds off of turn 5 there, he could be your sole leader in terms of number of wins this season in the Galaxy Truck Series.
Yeah, and especially with him not running for the full season points, that has to be something that he's going for. With not much else to really compete for, all he has to do is go for wins, and to be able to win these races against other top Cup talent, and along with the rising stars of the Galaxy Truck Series, it definitely makes for some interesting conversation points for him.
So if he manages to hang on here tonight, which with an almost 18 second lead, it does look pretty good. I think he just gave up with quite a look at the time difference. Looks like Stone had himself a really nice lap compared to Rich Petrucco. Gap still sitting about 16 seconds there. Looked like it was coming down just for a moment there to me. But at this point, Rich can go. What is that? That would be 3 for 7 on the season here in the Galaxy Truck Series, if he can just hang on for 5 more laps.
Yeah, he's got himself a really good gap here. If I was him, I would not be pushing at all. You've got a big gap between yourself and second place. Really, the only other guy that's out then showing speed that's still left in this race, competing for the lead. So if I was Petrucco, I wouldn't really be pushing it, just taking it easy and making sure that I don't make a mistake to end up in the grass or have an issue like he did in turn 5 earlier that could have cost him the lead. So 4 laps to go for Rich Petrucco. Still a long ways to go on this track, with this track being so long. Lots of error to make mistake. Lots of time to make an error or mistake.
Smooth through the first S section here is Rich Petrucco. what a comeback it has been from that first few laps of the race. I mean, we saw him basically get tagged by Carl Felver, as speaking of, Felver has just gone off in turn. Oh, excuse me. He actually is blinking all over the place. A little internet issue for Felver there, because I just saw him on track for a moment, and then all of a sudden he's sliding off the track. So a little issue there for Felver, but he was the one that caught Rich Petrucco early in the race in tonight's event, and Rich has since recovered. As we see him now with a 17.5 second gap, give him another 1.5 seconds over Cam Stone here. Stone's got a little bit of lap traffic to worry about in the 74. Brian Branham coming up the hill here. Looks like Branham's taking away the racing line and then trying to get out of the way. It's just a mess for trying to let Stone through here. That's just going to cost Stone more time. 3 to go. At this point, I would have totally expected someone to have tried to make a pit stop to potentially chase them down on fresh rubber, but unfortunately we didn't see it tonight. Everyone choosing to stay out on their older rubber. Now, lap times looking around the 1:22, 1:23 second bracket again as we see Stone run wide here. 2 wheels in the grass. He's able to hang on, but that's not going to get him any closer to Rich Petrucco tonight.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning with Cameron Stone pushing it past the 88 of Mr. Felver, from the reports I heard in the garage, he was testing out a new setup that was actually making his car float in a way on the straightaways. So it was definitely a setup that was worth trying, but obviously didn't come to fruition.
Rich Petrucco has really got a huge gap now. He's just, all he has to do is ride this out for 2 more laps, and the win is all his. And I don't see him pushing at all here with a 20-second gap on Cam Stone. He should just be able to ride this thing very easily to the end. Rich Petrucco coming down through turn 5 now. Still running very easy through there. Very cleanly. Not trying to make a mistake. And he definitely does not want to see that. Although if he does, he has a big gap. So he has a little bit of room. But he doesn't want that to happen for him as he's coming through the S's now to get to the white flag here. So he's going to go through turn number 10. Final corner on the track. And white flag is waving for Rich Petrucco. Just smooth sailing from here.
So your leader out to a 20-second gap now over Cam Stone, but the battle is raging on here for third. Princeton has lost the gap that he had to Chicano, and Alonso's since gone by. Now Alonso just had major trouble trying to get out of turn 5 there, and that actually has allowed Princeton to close the gap back up. We'll see what he does down the straightaway here if he's able to draft up on the 25 truck. But Alonso making moves late in the race here has gotten by the 9 of Alex Princeton.
And it's not what Guarnieri wants to see either, as he's trapped 2 laps down, sitting in 6th. I know he's not going to be able to get around Chicano.
Big move. What a dive from the 9 of Alex Princeton. He gets himself, draws alongside Alonso Chicano down the front straightaway here. Chicano clearing himself down into turn 1. What a move from the 9 truck. Going for it there, and he got Alonso into a mistake. The 25 spins off of turn 1, slams the wall with the nose, and that's not going to go well for the 25. That pretty much ends his chance at third tonight, as we see the 27 coming off the final corner.
And checkered flag is waving. Rich Petrucco going to claim his 3rd win of the season, and back-to-back, actually, as he was last week's winner at Daytona as well. That's got to feel good, especially with all the issues and incidents he ran into throughout this race. So big win for Petrucco to get back-to-back and third win of the season. And we have Stone just now getting off turn 10, so he will finish second, which is definitely a good finish for him. It's not the first he wanted, but it is still a great finish after all that he went through. And so he's got to be feeling happy about that second place. Princeton just going through the S's now. He's got a little bit of a gap on Alonso Chicano. Pretty big gap, actually, and all he needs to do is just make it through turn 10 very cleanly, and he's going to come home third.
So it actually didn't end up being as big as I thought it would between them, and Alonso actually just binned it again in the S's. What a move there from the 9, drawing himself alongside, and he pressured the 25 into a mistake there off of turn 1. Just on the exit, the 25 dropped the wheels off, and that actually ended up spinning him down to the inside. Chicano, even though, again, a big mistake there in the final S's, still comes home in 4th, and the driver in 5th was Brian Branham tonight in that 74 truck. But how about that, Josh? The adversity that Rich Petrucco faced tonight, he overcame it and brought home a win.
Yeah, that's got to feel really good for him, and be able to get that truck in victory lane where he feels it belongs. He was fastest in practice. He didn't qualify because he wanted to start in the back, and now he's going to be able to do some donuts here on the front stretch and celebrate a win after all of that he had to go through. Cody, what was your take, on the race with how Petrucco was able to go through all of that and now be celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome that Rich Petrucco was able to do what he was able to do. Obviously, going back through the field, as you can see, Mr. Cameron Stone and Rich doing some burnouts. He had the dominant car. Obviously, made a mistake, and it didn't bite him too much because he was able to still pull off the win, winning by 27 seconds over Cameron Stone.
And what a win it was. So, Josh, I think you have finally caught up with our winner tonight as he finishes up doing his burnouts.
Rich Petrucco, you got a copy?
I do, guys. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you after that win?
Tired.
Yeah,
It was attrition.
Yeah, you had a lot of things go wrong at the start, but you were able to hold on and just kind of limp the truck out, keep it clean, get to that stage break, and take on some damage repair fix, and ultimately get the win. How did you get it done? Was it just patience, or was it a little bit of aggression there?
A lot of luck. I mean, I didn't have a great race by any means. I think I spun 4 or 5 times. That chicane kicked my ass tonight. So, strategy-wise, it kind of worked out the way I was hoping for. In stage 1, I was planning on just doing a bunch of laps and pitting and taking tires, and then just having clean track in front of me. And then we had all that craziness at the stage break, and on the restart, I was in somebody else's Discord, making sure they got laps back and all that kind of stuff, and totally botched the start, and just got lucky that Bryson screwed himself. He was 8 seconds out. If he had gone mistake free, I don't think I would have gotten him. So
now that mistake you made there through the carousel, what were you thinking there, knowing that Bryson was coming after you had already had the lead?
yeah, I mean, I was trying to, once I knew it was going around, I just put my foot in it and tried to loop it around and get it back going straight again as much as I could. And then I looked at my mirror and saw him off in the grass. So I was laughing. We were both laughing about it in the in-game chat. So I got super, super lucky. I don't know what happened with him. I don't know how he ended up off track or whatnot. But I just had the least amount of atrocious mistakes, I think. It wasn't a good race by any means on my part.
Well, big win for you. Back-to-back wins after that exciting win at Daytona. Who gets it done for you behind the scenes?
You can hear my parrot in the background. She gets it done for me. Vapor Global Aviation supports the stream, supports the car, it supports me, so that's pretty awesome. I got to thank Galaxy for putting the series on. I have a beautiful girl over here in the other room that puts up with me yelling at the computer every night. So definitely got some awesome people behind me, and super, super fortunate.
Alrighty, well, congrats on that win. Go celebrate, and we'll see you after your flight from Canada to South Carolina, Darlington.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate it.
So that was Josh with our winner, Rich Petrucco in the 27 truck. Bringing it home here at Mosport. I believe Cody Bird has caught up with our second place finisher now. Cody, I think you got Cam Stone on the horn.
Cameron Stone, you got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, bud?
Hey, this is Cody Bird up in the JCTV booth. How you doing tonight?
Oh man, it was a tough one, but second place is not bad.
Now, looked like you had the lead the entire first stage. Looks like you ran out of gas coming to the very end with everything going on. How did you think that was going to play out? Were you pretty sure you were going to make it originally?
Well, I mean, I thought that I was going to have enough. I didn't really plan on Bryson making it through the field as quick as he did. I was kind of banking on it taking him a few laps, so that way I could save, just a little bit of fuel. Because I was pulling out to a pretty big lead from everybody else, and a couple of the guys between us had trouble, which just made it easier for him. So, the plan was to get a good lead and then start saving. But with him knocking on the back door for about 20 laps there wasn't really a lot I could do. It was either pull over and let him have it, or race for it and take the chance. So, when I'm racing with Bryson, it's a pride thing for me. Me and him go at it pretty hard every time we're on track together. So, didn't want to give him the spot. I took the chance. I gambled it. We came up probably about a lap short. I ran wide and he got by, but I had to let him by anyway. I clutched the entire last lap of the first stage. And then ran out under caution and had to get a wave around and all that malarkey that happened there. But it was just playing it by ear and taking a chance on it, and it didn't really work out.
Now you mentioned you and Bryson. Where do you see this rivalry going forward? Do you think for the rest of the season this is going to translate between the Trucks and Cup as we close out the rest of the season?
Well, it's yeah, I mean, I don't see it going anywhere. We're entering the playoffs this week. Shameless plug. Galaxy Cup Series, you guys check that out tomorrow night. First playoff race at Darlington. He's first of the points and I'm second. He's the guy with the target on his back, and I'm going to be chasing him all the way to Phoenix. So, I mean, this rivalry is, I don't see it calming down anytime soon.
That's awesome to hear, and hopefully it looks like it's a good battle for the rest of the season in both series. Anybody you would like to thank for your second place tonight?
Well, definitely want to thank everybody that's watching, cheering for me. I know most of my family is watching, Mom, Dad, Conrad, Megan, Carmen, I think I heard her watching there too. I got a buddy I work with, Chris. Thanks for checking out the broadcasts. Just want to thank everybody that supports me and everybody that doesn't shame me for spending a bunch of time doing this.
That's great to hear, and glad you have the support behind you. That was your second place runner tonight, Cameron Stone. Look forward to seeing you on track tomorrow down at Darlington. And,
appreciate it, bud. I'll see you there.
And that was Cameron Stone, driver of the number 57 truck. I'm going to pass it down to Eric, who I believe has caught up with Alex Princeton.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bird. Alex Princeton, just a newcomer here to the Galaxy Truck Series, but you managed to bring it home in a wild third-place finish tonight. Take us through your night, especially that final stage there with all the chaos happening. Must be having some technical issue here. I'm not sure I'm hearing Alex. Don't know if any of my coworkers here can confirm. Might have a technical difficulty on the end of Alex, or my end, for that matter.
Yeah, not hearing Alex currently.
So hopefully he'll get that issue fixed here in a moment. But just to recap, Princeton's night, how wild it was. I mean, at one point we saw him way down the order after getting caught up in one of the early incidents tonight. Hopefully we'll get a hold of him here in just a moment. But just absolutely wild. And then all of a sudden, between the issues with Alonso Chocano and your what was looking like going to be your winner in Bryson Hicksonball initially there, and then having the mistake that gave it to Rich Petruka, and Hicksonball falling out, that promoted Princeton up here into third. So, Alex, have you had a chance to maybe sort out the bug? Do we have you now? Still not looking like it. I'm not sure his mic's picked up there on Discord. We'll give him an opportunity for one more try at it here, see if we can get a hold of him. But after all said and done tonight, after just 2 stops in tonight's event, one there in the first stage and then one at the stage break coming to the end, Princeton finishes just about a minute behind the leader, only 14 seconds away from the guy only about 30 seconds behind the guy ahead of him in Stone. So, Alex, I'll try you on the horn here one more time. Not sure if you had the chance to make sure your mic was connected there. It's still having that issue. Can't tell here for him. So, yeah, looking like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get a hold of Alex tonight. Hopefully, maybe Josh will catch him at the beginning of next week's broadcast. So, Josh, Alex Princeton, your third-place finisher. So, that does it for the podium. Alonso Chicano, coming home in 4th tonight. Brian Branham in 5th. First truck and 1 lap down. Anthony Guarnieri, we documented it quite a bit throughout the broadcast there. Unfortunately, trapped a lap down, ended up finishing 2 laps down after tonight's event. Finished Carl Felver, another one, first lap issues with that 99 truck, was able to get the damage repaired, but then unfortunately lost it there later in the race. Finishes 11 laps off pace. Hicksonball, after his big moment in turn 5, falling out of the race, getting stuck in the wall of all things here in the sim. That is something that can happen. Bryson, 13 laps down in 8th. 9th place tonight, Andrew Shartner in the 10, lost his motor pretty early in the race, didn't really get the chance to recover from that. And his teammate, Jimmy Costarellos there in the 6 truck, comes home 10th. 11th tonight, Joseph Lester, again, also falling out of the race, as well as the 82 of Dustin Webb in 12th. 13th, John Bellew, not quite the Galaxy Truck Series debut I think he had in mind, but nonetheless, got out here tonight to try to get some laps in. We'll see him next week, hopefully. And Ryan Samuelson, technical difficulties knocked him out of the race early tonight. Not sure if a storm passed through or what, just only completing 4 laps on the track tonight. So that's your rundown of the finishing order. Josh, where are we headed to next week? Because I have not even had the chance to look at the schedule.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up the schedule for you. Looks like we've got Darlington next week. So the Cup guys are running Darlington tomorrow. These guys, the truck guys, are running Darlington next week. So, and it's actually going to be Thursday night, September 10th. You can catch that right here on JCTV. But that should be a fun one there. Going to Darlington, these guys. It's a tough track, egg-shaped as well. The turns are very different from 1 and 2 to 3 and 4 are very different from each other. It's got a unique characteristic. So that one should be a great show for these guys.
Yeah.
So they're getting there a week after the Cup guys are. All of us Cup guys here, which the 3 of us here in the booth happen to be Cup Series driver. Again, shameless plug to watch over there on 3Y TV tomorrow night. A week removed from the Cup guys running to Darlington, you see these trucks get out there. So, Cody, I'll turn it over to you. I know it's a different beast between the truck and the Cup car, but do those extra laps play an advantage toward the Cup guys that run down here in the Truck Series versus your Truck Series regulars?
Oh, 100%, especially with tomorrow being a 500-mile race, 367 laps against the Lady in Black. Track is not easy, and while the Cup cars do have less downforce than the trucks, I believe, it should make for some interesting battles in both series, especially tomorrow with the playoffs, as Cam alluded to, with the playoffs starting. He's full on after Bryson, and I'm sure we could see this translate to the trucks next week between Alonso and Anthony for the points battle there.
So next week, looking at Darlington, and then I think they go to Bristol after that. So not exactly a 0-1 type of track going for the rest of the season. We're going to see two totally different types of tracks within the next two races, especially compared to the one we just got off of. And I believe the final road course of the season, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if these guys get the chance to get to the Roval, but definitely going to see the oval side of things coming back up, and I would expect to see a different set of guys up toward the front.
Actually, October 9th, these guys are going to be on the Roval. It's going to be the last road course of the season for them. That's still here in a little over a month. But like I said, October 9th will be the Roval race for them.
All right, well, Mr. Cody Bird, closing thoughts from tonight's race here at Mosport.
Yeah, first off, thank you guys for having me up in the booth today. Couldn't get the approval to travel into Canada with everything going on, but hopefully you guys will see me here throughout the rest of the season, missing a week or two. Definitely was an entertaining race. Played multiple aspects, especially during that end of the first stage and end of the race.
Alrighty, that's your closing thoughts from Mosport here. Josh, before I hand it over to you, again, what a wild race this was. The Galaxy Truck Series seems to be producing a lot of wild action that is kind of unprecedented in most forms of motorsport. Guys flying all over the place on this tough road course, especially turn 5, man. I figured that was going to be a trouble spot coming into tonight, and it proved to be so. As we even saw the fastest guy on track in Bryson Hicksonball lose his truck and ultimately his entire race right there in turn 5 with just about 13 to go. Hands the win over to Rich Petrucco. That's 2 in a row for Rich on 2 totally different tracks. Both 2.5 miles, but one being a road course and one being an oval. Again, 2 back-to-back right there. Wild finishes in the Galaxy Truck Series. I can't wait to see what these guys have in store next week at Darlington. How many Darlington stripes? I don't know if we'll be able to get a counter put up on the broadcast for you, but I'm definitely excited and looking forward to that next race there, Josh.
Yeah, trucks don't really. I mean, the real trucks haven't ran at Darlington in a long time. They are actually going to this year, but I don't know. When I think of the Truck Series, I don't think of as them visiting Darlington. So it should be an exciting race overall. I'm really excited to see that. And as you mentioned, that Darlington stripe, I think we're going to see plenty of them. Maybe a lot more than we think.
All right, well, one final closing note over here on my end before I let you close it out tonight. Did get the update from the admins that Alonso Chocano did manage to extend his point gap tonight with a 4th place finish over Anthony Guarnieri's 6th place finish. So extending his point lead out to 62 points is what they told me over here in the admin side of things. So not including your Cup Series driver, Rich Petrucco, who would have ultimately gained a lot of points on Alonso Chocano tonight. Chicano extending his gap on the guys that are in it for the Truck Series points. So that pretty much does it for me tonight, Josh. Thanks for having me on again tonight. And like I said, I'm looking forward to Darlington.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. It's been a blast as always. As Cam Stone mentioned in his interview, the Cup Series is visiting Darlington, and with him saying check it out. It's not going to be here on JCTV. It's going to be on 3 Wide TV with Kenneth and Andre calling the shots on that one. All 3 of us, Cody, Eric, and I, will be racing in it. 500 miles should be an exciting one, but that's going to do it here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the great pull up the graphic here. The Great White North 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So thank you for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time at Darlington.